and we want to respect their time. Welcome everybody. Today is Thursday, June 9th. I can't believe this is one of our last family learning sessions. Welcome to our parent training for the Connecticut Special Education. Oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Going back. Going back. So thank you all for joining us here for the new Connecticut State IEP platform. Jen Hoffman is the Senior Executive Director for Special Education and Pupil Services for the district. She is joined by our amazing co-worker, Allison Ward. They are both going, I believe, tag team, right? We're gonna be tag teaming on talking about the new IEP platform. And when I was talking to Jen earlier, she was like, there's updates daily, so let's not put anything on stone. So this is what we have for now, right? A new IEP platform, differences between this one and the current IEP. For those of you, I know Jen will get into it, but IEP means individualized education plan. In Spanish, we call it the PEI, so it's backwards. And about what next steps and additional trainings we might be hosting, not only here at Hartford Public Schools, but most likely throughout the state. Now I leave the virtual platform for Jen and Allison, and thank you for joining.
Thanks, Viviana. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. It's great to be with you. We do have an overview for the new platform called SEDS, which stands for Special Education Data System. And we'll give you some information tonight just so you can better understand some changes that will be in place for September of the next year and what to look for. So we'll learn about some updates that the State Department of Ed has provided us. And you will also get a better understanding of the timeline that Hartford Public Schools has followed to ensure that we are ready to implement SEDS in September. So like I said, the Office of Student Support Services has been working with the State Department of Ed really the entire school year as a pilot district to ensure that we are ready to go for July on the new platform SEDS. And the state has outlined three main reasons why they made these changes. First, the state wants to ensure that all districts across the state are using the same IEP platform. That's going to ensure consistency across districts, and it's going to help us work together with other districts as well. The state also wanted to streamline the appearance of the IEP and 504 documents to make them more user-friendly. And finally, the state wanted to continue to improve the quality of the IEP and 504 plans that we write for all of our students. So what's new when we go into SEDS? And like I said before, we are going to have this in place, when we return in September, but the site does open in July. So we may have some PPTs or 504 meetings that happen in July. So what's new? The new platform really the biggest change is that it's going to hold the important information for our families and for our students, but the PPTs will be translated. The IEPs will be translated into the family's native language. So there are 10 languages that will be available for families, including Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, Creole Haitian, Mandarin, Albanian, Polish, Urdu, Bengali, and Vietnamese. So this will hopefully help our diverse families have better access to the IEPs that are in place for their students. Another new feature on SEDS is the actual layout of the platform in the IEP. So right now the IEP is pretty familiar and we've used it for I'm going to say a very long time. The layout of the current IEP is going to change. It's going to be more user-friendly and easy to follow. We're also hoping that parents find it easier to be able to access the platform instead of always having to rely on a hard copy. You will always get a hard copy if you need it, but you will always also have direct access to the IEP and the platform as well. So some key takeaways that we want to make sure that our families are aware of. there's no actual impact on the special education programming. So what your child gets during the school day in terms of their academic programming or their related services, so maybe their reading services or their speech and language OT or PT services, that will not change. And another just piece of information is that we want to make sure parents and families know that you don't have to take any action at this time. There's no new learning. This is new learning, but there's no action you actually have to take. You don't have to do anything on the new platform. You don't have to, it doesn't require any passwords or anything at this time. We will get to all of that when we launch in July. But as we get more information from the state, the Office of Student Support Services will provide information in a timely manner to ensure that you are ready to go when we return to school. So again, in the 22-23 school year, if your child does require an IEP or a 504 and it's a new IEP, it's being reviewed or revised, all of those PPTs will happen in CT SEDS. We will no longer use our old platform called Frontline. And just like we have in the past, the schools will be scheduling the PPTs. So if you have an upcoming PPT in the beginning of the year, or maybe even later in the spring, the schools will be contacting you to schedule those meetings. Here's just a timeline, just to give you a visual of the work that we've done over the school year. So like I said, last January, Hartford Public Schools participated in pilot training. So district leaders were trained, and that training took about 2 months, or 3 months. So we worked through March, and then in March, we started training our special education teachers, our related service staff, so they could get a really solid understanding of some of the changes that were happening, and really making sure that they had a solid understanding of our procedural processes that we have in place. In the spring, we started to assign roles for all of our related service staff and teachers to make sure that once the platform does open, they have access. And over the next few weeks, what we're doing is making sure that PPTs are finalized, that IEPs are in place, and then we can, they're calling this a migration. So we're going to migrate information from our old platform to our new platform. And the target date right now is July 5th. And so we are hoping for a smooth transition there. And then when we start back, like I said, either if students have meetings that need to happen in July or in August, we will be able to have those PPTs in the new platform, CT SEDS, and we will continue our training. So we'll continue training with our staff as well as families. So what we want to do now is give you an opportunity to actually see what the document looks like. And Allison's going to sort of walk through some of the new, I'm going to say newer sections, but it's not new information.
All right, so here it comes. Here comes the new IEP, what it's going to look like. All right, so here's a draft. It looks a little bit different as far as the layout is really the big difference. All of the key information, like Jen had said, is still going to be there, just the layout will be different. You'll see the page 1, the big difference on the page 2 actually is that there's no longer a meeting summary. So you won't see a meeting summary on here. I think that's a big difference from what people are used to seeing. And then it talks a little bit about the amendments, which would be right in here. But the other really big difference I want to show you, if I can get down to it, is what it looks like as far as present levels go. So right now our present levels are all on page 4 and 5. They're kind of listed. If you have a reading concern, this is what the concern is. And then it has a behavioral concern maybe, or speech and language, and it's all on one page. And then you have to flip around and look for like, well, where's the goal that goes with that speech and language? The great part of this new IEP is that it's all going to be in one space. So if you have a concern around reading, it's going to give exactly what that concern is. And then right underneath it are going to be the actual goals that go with that area. So if it's an area of concern of behavior, the goals are going to go right there. And it'll be like flipping through a nice chronological book of like, here's the reading issue, and here's my goal, and now here's my math issue, and now here's my math goal. So it's organized quite nicely that way. So I think that was a really big difference. Another area, but this is all goals, that I think is different is the way, sorry, they have a lot of goals in there for you, is the way the grid. So the way the grid and the consultation right now. So consultation is for when a specialist is working directly with the staff in the room, and you usually find that on the bottom of page 8 on the current IEP, which is the accommodations and modifications page. Now you're going to actually see that in a graph. And it's going to be very specific on what areas they're working on and who they're working with. That's a big difference, as well as the difference of the grid. And I'm trying to find it on here so I could show you, but they have a lot of goals. As far as here it is, the education services and the related services. So you'll see that it's similar, but a little bit different. It gives you a little bit more information. And then the other really cool thing that they're doing is they're actually connecting the standards. So our state standards are being connected right to goals for reading, math, and writing. So if you have if one of your students is struggling in reading, they're going to connect the grade level standard right to that learning, which I think is really great because it shows how everything is tied in together. Again, you're going to have your aids and services. So these are supplementary aids and services, which are the accommodations and modifications. It could have if you have a student with adult support or assistive technology. All of this is on our current IEP, just laid out a little bit different. And then here's that indirect services that I was just talking about, which is that consult piece. So this is where it looks very similar to the grid of the direct services, but indirect services would be something like if the OT was working on sensory with the student, they really want to train the staff in how to work on that because sensory is something that happens all the time, not just in a 30-minute session with OT. So that might be right in here, that the time that they're meeting with the staff. And then ESY, still the same, just a different grid. It's transportation. It's on the old IEP. It's still on this IEP. And then how long that the student is removed either from general education classes or maybe not. Maybe they're completely included in inclusion and everything. So all of the same information, just a little bit of a different setup, which is more, like Jen was saying, more user friendly.
Thanks, Allison. So what we also did was include 2 links, and these are modules that the state has put out for the state for families and parents and guardians. We were thinking about dropping this in the chat, but what we can also do is include this module plus some of the other resources that are included in a different document that we can share out with all families. So this first module is really around procedural safeguards for families, and it gives some really great background information, maybe some refreshers for some families, but it does kind of walk you through procedural safeguards. So we can share both of those links. And then on the next resources page, these are just some other resources that the state has put out. Other parent organizations have also put out some trainings. So we just wanted to be able to share this information with you as well. And like I said, I think once we actually go live in July, I think we'll have a lot more resources at our disposal that we can share. And again, we'll continue training as we start this up next year as well. So Viviana, I did see 2 questions in the chat. So one question is about timelines. Will the timeline for receiving the hard copy stay the same with the new IEPs, or will it be up to the families to get it from the new system? That is a great question. We are still bound to our federal timelines. So you will be receiving that IEP in 5 days. Because I'm not sure how it's going to look on the parent side, we don't have that information yet, but we will still be, if we have to mail them out, in 5 days, we will continue to do that. And then the other question is about the summary. Will there be a place for a meeting summary, or is that going away entirely? So that section has been removed from the IEP. And like we said before, the new platform is a little bit more narrative in nature. I think some of the information that was captured in the summary will be captured in different sections of the IEP. Okay. So Viviana, we can give it a few more minutes. If there's any other questions. And like I said, we can definitely share out the slides and the resources as well. And Alba, I'm not sure if there's any questions on your side. It looks like no questions. Viviana, would you like us to hang on for a few more minutes, or what would you like us to do?
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm into. Did you all answer the questions on the
Yeah.
quick 1A?
Yeah, there were 2
All
questions.
right, no, so if there's no more questions, I think we're good to go.
All right, well, we thank everyone for joining us. We're going to run another session next week with the same information if families missed tonight. And like I said, as we move forward, we'll continue to keep you updated on any changes we get from the state and look forward to working in partnership with you and your students.
So 2 questions just came through about the chat. I just want to make sure that people received that.
I think
No?
we have to put it into the question and answer, Allison.
Okay, I can do that. No
Okay.
problem. Should I do type answer, right? Let's see if I do that. Okay, let's say that. But I think it's just going to go to her. Hold on, let me try this.
Oh, directly to
Ah, here we go.
Fine.
I got it. All right, there's one. And here, oops. And the other ones.
Perfect.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that Crystal and Nicole, you were able to see those links in the chat. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Sorry
All right,
about that.
sounds good. No, that's fine. All right. Thank you.